I was pouring my second cup of coffee when I heard my son's voice through the heating vent. He won't survive the week. I froze. The coffee pot hung in midair. My hand didn't shake, not yet, but something cold settled into my chest like a stone dropping into deep water. Are you serious? That was Jessica, his girlfriend. Her voice was higher, uncertain. Derek, that's keep your voice down. My son, my only child. The boy I raised alone after his mother died. I've been adding it to his coffee every morning for 3 days. By Friday, his liver will shut down. They'll call it natural causes. He's 68, overweight, high blood pressure. No one will question it. I set the coffee pot down carefully. The granite countertop was cold under my palm. The kitchen still smelled like the cinnamon rolls I'd baked that morning, his favorite, made from his mother's recipe. I'd gotten up at 5:30 to make them. But what if someone finds out? Jessica again. Sounded scared now. How there's no autopsy unless there's suspicion. I'm his only family. I'll be the grieving son, heartbroken. I'll tell them he'd been complaining about feeling tired, nauseous. I'll even cry at the funeral. He laughed, actually laughed. The estate settles in 60 days, 2.3 million, the house, the business, everything. My business, the construction company I'd built over 40 years, started with 1 truck and a toolbox, grew it into something worth leaving behind for him. I'd planned to sign it over next month on his 35th birthday, had the papers drawn up and everything. I was going to retire, travel, maybe spend winters in Arizona like Carol from church kept suggesting. What about the coffee? Won't that seem suspicious? It's antifreeze, Jess, ethylene glycol, colorless, sweet taste that gets hidden by the cream and sugar he dumps in. By the time symptoms show, it'll be too late. Kidney failure, liver failure, the whole cascade, even if they test. They'd need to specifically look for it. And why would they? Another pause. This time Friday, we're millionaires. I looked down at my coffee. French roast with 2 creams and 3 sugars, same as I'd drunk it for 30 years. Same blue mug Derek had given me for Father's Day when he was 12. World's best dad, it said in faded letters. My hand started shaking then. I poured the coffee down the sink and watched it spiral into the drain. Then I walked to my study on legs that felt borrowed from someone else's body, picked up my phone and made the first of many calls that would change everything. The first call was to Tom Bradley, my lawyer for 23 years. Tom, I need you to listen carefully and not ask questions yet. Can you do that? Jesus, Richard, what's wrong? You sound, just listen. I kept my voice low. Derek's bedroom was directly above my study and I couldn't risk him hearing. I need to know about recording laws in Pennsylvania. If I record a conversation in my own home, is it admissible? Silence. Then Pennsylvania is a 2-party consent state for phone calls, but if you're recording in your own home and you're present, that's generally legal. Richard, what's this about? I'll tell you everything tonight. Can you come by around 8? Park down the street, come in through the back. You're scaring me. Good, that makes 2 of us. The second call was harder. I dialed Dr. Harrison's emergency line. Dr. Harrison, it's Richard Sawyer. I need to come in immediately. I think I've been poisoned. 30 minutes later, I was in his office. I told Derek I was running to the hardware store, needed screws for a project. He'd barely looked up from his phone. Dr. Harrison was 62, methodical, the kind of doctor who still took notes by hand. He listened while I explained everything, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. We need to run a full panel. Liver enzymes, kidney function, and yes, we'll specifically test for ethylene glycol if what you're telling me is true. He shook his head. How are you feeling? Any symptoms? Tired, nauseous the last 2 mornings. I thought it was just age. Could also be early-stage poisoning. The problem with antifreeze is it mimics flu symptoms initially. Then there's a latent period where you feel better. That's when people think they're recovering, but internally, he pulled out requisition forms. The damage continues. By the time the 3rd stage hits, severe metabolic acidosis, organ failure, it's often too late. My hands were steadier now, knowing what I was dealing with helped. Action helped. How long does it take? Depends on the dose and frequency. Small amounts over several days, you'd start seeing serious symptoms by day 5 or 6. Larger doses could kill in 24 hours. He handed me the forms. Lab opens at 7. Go first thing tomorrow. I'll mark it urgent. Results by noon. And if it's positive, then we call the police and your son goes to jail for attempted murder. I drove home thinking about Derek at 7, at 12, at 16. The baseball games I never missed. The science projects we stayed up late finishing, teaching him to drive in this same truck. His high school graduation where I cried like a fool because his mother wasn't there to see it. Where did I lose him? Tom arrived at 8 sharp, parking his Lexus 3 houses down like I'd asked. I met him at the back door. Okay, he said, setting his briefcase on the kitchen table. Talk, I told him everything. He listened the way he'd listened to 1,000 clients, focused, occasionally jotting notes, his face revealing nothing. When I finished, he sat back. You're absolutely certain about what you heard? Tom, I know my son's voice, and I know what antifreeze is. I've worked construction my entire adult life. Ethylene glycol is in every garage in America. Okay, here's what we do. He pulled out a legal pad. First, you see Dr. Harrison tomorrow. Get tested. Document everything. Second, we set up recording devices. I know a guy who does corporate security, small, voice-activated, high quality. We can have them installed tomorrow afternoon. Is it legal in your own home? Yes, Pennsylvania law allows recording when you're a party to the conversation or when you own the property. But here's the key, you need to create a situation where Derek says it again, on tape. Clear, unmistakable. How? We'll plan that after we get your test results. If you're positive for ethylene glycol, we move fast. If you're negative, he hesitated. Then we need to figure out if you misheard or if he hasn't started yet. I didn't mishear. I believe you, but we need proof, evidence, the kind that holds up in court and gets a conviction. That night Derek made dinner, grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, rice pilaf. He served me with a smile. You've been quiet tonight, Dad. Everything okay? I looked at him across the table. Same blue eyes as his mother, same straight nose. She would have been devastated. Just tired, long day. You should take it easy, maybe retire for real this time. I keep telling you I can handle the business. You've taught me everything. Maybe you're right, he smiled. I've been thinking, once you do retire, maybe you and I could take that Alaska trip you always talked about, just us like old times. That'd be nice. I watched him eat, watched him check his phone. Watched him clear the dishes with the same efficiency his mother used to show. How do you reconcile the person in front of you with the words you heard through a heating vent? You don't. You document, you prepare, you survive. The lab results came back at 11:43 the next morning. Dr. Harrison called my cell. Richard, you need to sit down. I was already sitting in my truck outside the post office where I'd gone to check the mail, creating normal routines, acting like everything was fine. How bad? Your blood ethylene glycol level is 42 milligrams per deciliter. That's consistent with sublethal poisoning over multiple doses. Your liver enzymes are elevated. Early kidney damage. You're in the first stage. If you'd waited another 2 or 3 days. He didn't finish. I'm calling the police. This is attempted murder. No, not yet. Richard, Tom Bradley's handling the legal side. We need evidence that's absolutely airtight. Otherwise, it's my word against his, and a good defense attorney could argue contamination, accident, anything. Give me 48 hours. You could die in 48 hours. I won't, because I'm not drinking anything Derek gives me. I'm getting everything myself from sealed containers. I'd already bought new coffee, new creamer, everything, hiding it in my truck. Just give me 2 days to get him on tape, then we bury him. Silence, then 48 hours, not a minute more. And if you feel worse, dizziness, confusion, severe nausea, you call 911 immediately. Deal. Tom's security guy arrived that afternoon while Derek was at work. His name was Marcus, former FBI, now running a private investigation firm. He walked through my house like a ghost, placing devices so small I couldn't see them even when he showed me where they were. This one's in the kitchen vent. This one's in the living room. This one's in your study, all voice-activated. They upload to a secure cloud server in real time, so even if Derek finds them and destroys them, we have the recordings. He handed me a phone. This is a backup, keep it on you. If things go sideways, if you feel threatened, you hit this button. It sends your GPS location to me, Tom, and the state police simultaneously. You think it'll come to that? Marcus looked at me with the flat expression of someone who'd seen too much. Mr. Sawyer, your son is poisoning you for money. There's no predicting what he'll do if he... Suspects, you know, be careful, be smart, and don't trust anything he gives you. That evening, Derek came home with takeout, Chinese food from the place on 5th Street. Figured you could use a break from cooking, he said, spreading containers across the kitchen table. Got your favorite Kung Pao chicken extra spicy. Thanks, son, I ate the rice, just the rice. Told him my stomach was off, probably something I ate for lunch. He seemed disappointed but didn't push. After dinner, we watched the Phillies game. Normal, comfortable, like every other Tuesday night for the past 35 years. Except I was wearing a wire and my son was trying to kill me. Wednesday morning, I made my own coffee from the sealed container in my truck. Derek was still asleep. I sat in my study, checking my email, waiting. My phone buzzed. Tom, test run was successful. All devices are recording clearly. Now we need to create a scenario where he talks. I have an idea. Can you draft something that looks like estate papers? Something that shows I'm changing my will? Already thought of that. I'll have documents ready by tonight. Leave them somewhere, he'll find them. My desk, top drawer slightly open. He goes through my stuff when I'm not home. I've known for months. Perfect. Make sure the documents show you're leaving everything to charity, effective immediately. That should panic him into action. I felt sick. Not from the poison, though that was there, a constant low-grade nausea I was learning to ignore, but from the calculation. The chess game, using my own son's greed against him, but he'd used my trust, my coffee, the breakfast table we'd shared for 35 years. Fair's fair. Thursday morning, Derek knocked on my study door. I'd left it unlocked on purpose. He looked pale. Dad, can we talk? Of course, come in. He sat across from me, hands clasped. The same way he used to sit when he was 10, and had broken something valuable, working up the courage. To confess, I saw some papers on your desk, estate planning documents. Oh yeah, I kept my voice neutral, just updating some things, getting older, you know, want to make sure everything's in order. You're leaving everything to charity, most of it. The Salvation Army, the Children's Hospital, couple others seemed right. Your mother always believed in giving back. His jaw tightened. What about me? You'll get the house, and there's a $50,000 provision. That should help you get started. Get started, Dad. I've been running the business with you for 12 years. I know, and you've done great, but I've been thinking about legacy, about what matters. Money corrupts, Derek. I've seen it destroy families. I met his eyes. I'd rather know the money helped sick kids than wonder if it changed who you are. He stood, walked to the window. When he turned back, something in his face had shifted, hardened. When does this take effect? Papers get filed Monday. Irrevocable trust. Can't be changed once it's done. He left without another word. That night I heard him on the phone. I was in my study directly below his room, and the heating vents carried every word. We're out of time. He's filing Monday. Everything goes to charity. Jess, we're talking 2.3 million. Just gone. Pause. No, I'm sure I saw the papers myself. Longer pause. Then we accelerate. Tomorrow morning, double dose, maybe triple. He's already weak. I can see it. One more big hit and his kidneys will shut down completely. Friday evening he collapses. Saturday he's dead. Sunday I'm the grieving son planning a funeral. Monday those papers never get filed. I sat there in the dark listening to my son plan my murder with the same tone he used to use planning baseball practice. Marcus called 30 seconds later. He'd heard it too, streaming live from the device in Derek's room. We've got him. That's premeditation, clear intent, confession to ongoing poisoning. I'm calling the police now. Wait, Mr. Sawyer. I need to hear him say it to my face. I need to know this is real, not through a vent, not on a recording, face to face. That's dangerous. I don't care. Set it up. Tomorrow, you, Tom, and 2 plainclothes officers in the house. Hidden. I'll confront him. Whatever happens, you've got it on tape and you've got witnesses. Richard, this is my son, Marcus. I need to look him in the eye. Silence. Then, okay, tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll be there at 8 to set up, but you wear a panic button, and if things go sideways, we move in immediately. Friday morning came cold and clear. October in Pennsylvania, the kind of morning that smells like wood smoke and dying leaves. I made coffee from my sealed container. Derek came downstairs at 7:30. Morning, Dad. Morning. He poured himself coffee, started making eggs. I watched him from the table, this stranger wearing my son's face. Derek, sit down. We need to talk. He hesitated, then sat. What's up? I want to ask you something, and I want you to tell me the truth. Okay, are you poisoning me? The kitchen went very quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming, a car passing outside, my own heartbeat. What, Dad? That's why would you? I heard you through the vent. Tuesday evening, you and Jessica. He won't survive the week. I kept my voice steady. I got tested, ethylene glycol in my blood, so I'm asking you directly, are you poisoning me? His face went through several expressions: shock, denial, fear, and finally something else, something cold and calculating. How much do you know? Everything. He laughed, actually laughed. Well, shit, that's all you have to say. What do you want me to say, Dad? That I'm sorry, that it's not about the money. He leaned back. It's absolutely about the money. You were going to give it all away. Everything we built, everything Mom died for, you were going to flush it down the toilet for some tax write-off and a plaque on a hospital wall. So you decided to kill me. I decided to take what's rightfully mine. You're 68, overweight, diabetic. How many good years do you have left? 5, 10. Meanwhile, I'm 34. I've got a whole life ahead of me, a life that could actually mean something if I had the capital. I was giving you the business. Next month, full ownership. He froze. What? Your birthday? I had the papers drawn up. You were getting everything. The company, the house, $1 million in liquid assets. The rest was going to charity because I wanted to see it do good while I was alive to watch. But you were getting the foundation, everything you needed. I watched him process this. Watched the realization hit that he'd been murdering me for something he was already going to inherit. You're lying. Check my safe, top shelf. There's a folder marked Derek's birthday. The transfer papers are inside. He stood, walked to my study. I heard the safe open. He knew the combination. I'd given it to him years ago in case of emergency. Heard papers rustling, a long silence. When he came back, he was holding the folder. His face was white. This is dated for next month. Yes, you were really going to give me everything. Yes, he sat down slowly, stared at the papers. Then he looked up at me, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't remorse, it was anger. Then why the charity documents? Why did you make me think? Because I heard you Tuesday. I heard you planning to kill me, and I needed to know if you'd really go through with it. I leaned forward. I needed to know if my son was really capable of murdering his own father. You set me up. You poisoned me for 3 days, knowing it would kill me, knowing you'd stand at my funeral and cry fake tears and cash in on my death. My voice cracked. I raised you alone, Derek. After your mother died, you were everything. Every decision I made was for you, and you repaid that by putting antifreeze in my coffee. So what now? You call the police. They're already here. His eyes widened. That's when Tom stepped out of the pantry and Marcus came in from the garage, and 2 plainclothes officers entered through the back door I'd left unlocked. Derek Sawyer, one of them said, you're under arrest for attempted murder. Derek looked at me while they read him his rights, looked at me while they cuffed him, and just before they walked him out, he said, I really would have killed you. You know that, right? If you hadn't figured it out, I would have finished it. I know. Doesn't that bother you, knowing your own son could do that? I thought about it. About 35 years of birthday parties and bedtime stories and teaching him to tie his shoes. About Teresa, gone 23 years, who would have been destroyed by this moment. What bothers me, I said quietly, is that I'll never know which version was real. The boy I raised or the man standing here now. They led him away. The trial took 8 months. Derek's public defender tried everything. The recording was inadmissible. I'd entrapped him. He'd been joking. The antifreeze was in the coffee by accident. None of it worked. The medical records showed clear poisoning. The recordings caught him confessing multiple times. The purchase records showed he'd bought antifreeze 3 days before my symptoms started. Jessica testified against him. She'd been granted immunity in exchange for her cooperation. She cried on the stand, said she'd tried to talk him out of it, said she was scared of him. I don't know if any of that was true. I don't think it matters. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Attempted murder in the first degree. The judge gave him 15 years. With good behavior, he'd be out in 12. I sat in the courtroom and watched them lead him away. He didn't look at me. Jessica was in the gallery crying, her family wouldn't even sit near her. Tom put a hand on my shoulder. You okay? No, but I'm alive. What will you do now? I don't know, but I did know. I sold the business to Marcus's nephew, a good kid who'd been working for me for 6 years, gave him a fair price and owner financing. Sold the house to a young couple expecting their first baby. I gave them the same deal. Took the money and most of what Derek would have inherited and set up a foundation for children who'd lost parents. Named it after Teresa. I moved to Arizona, bought a small house near Sedona, the kind of place with a view that makes you understand why people believe in God. I don't talk to Derek. He writes sometimes, letters forwarded through Tom. I don't open them. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday I'll be able to read whatever justifications or apologies he's written and feel something other than grief. But not yet. I think about him sometimes. Wonder where I went wrong. Wonder if I spoiled him or pushed him too hard or failed to teach him something essential about being human. But mostly I try not to wonder. Mostly I just sit on my back porch and watch the sunset paint the red rocks gold and feel grateful for every morning I wake up. Carol from church moved out here too. Different neighborhood but close enough. We have dinner sometimes. Talk about everything except our old lives. It's nice. Uncomplicated. Last week I went back to Pennsylvania for a deposition in a civil suit. Derek's girlfriend's family is suing him for emotional distress. While I was there I drove past the old house. The young couple has painted it blue, added flower boxes. There's a swing set in the backyard now. I sat in my truck and looked at it for a long time. Remembered Derek at 7 running through that yard with a kite. Teresa on the porch laughing. The life we had that felt permanent and safe. Then I drove away. Some betrayals don't heal. Some losses you just learn to carry. You wake up each day and the weight is still there, but you're stronger than you were yesterday. And eventually you learn to walk steady even with the load. That's what survival looks like. Not triumph, not revenge. Just the quiet strength to keep going when everything you built turns to ash, and on the good days, the days when the sun hits just right and the air smells clean and Carol makes me laugh over takeout Chinese food, I remember that I'm 69 years old and still breathing, that my son tried to kill me and failed. That I outplayed him, outsmarted him, survived him, and sometimes, just sometimes, that's enough.